Ranching, kind of at its most simple, is turning free resources, sunlight and a little moisture, into grass. And then grass into beef. That, to me, is the ultimate symbiosis of nature and animals and man. It all has to work together, and we have to really work at understanding and caring for the land.
We're a commercial operation. We take a lot of pride in that. We make our living from our cattle on our ground. The misconception out there is to be a business operation, you have to, either exploit the environment or ignore the environment, but we've found the exact opposite. We found what's best for the environment is financially what's best for us.
We want the sunlight and what little rainfall we get to provide all of the tools necessary to turn grass into beef.
Our grazing philosophy is to mimic the environment these prairies and this grassland has developed over for millennials. Back in the day, the buffalo were in tight clusters. You can imagine 500,000 head buffalo, really tightly compact. When they hit new grass, it'd take an hour for the herd to pass through, so when they left, it was very heavily grazed. But then the key to that is they would migrate, so they wouldn't be back to the same place for a year or 6 months or stuff. So there was intensive grazing, but then long recovery. That's how the prairies of North America evolved. So to mimic that, what we do is these temporary fences to really concentrate our herd into small areas, get a lot of hoofs breaking up the soil cap, getting their manure and urine in a concentrated area, hitting it really hard. But then through temporary fencing and whatnot, we can keep them off that for a long time and get that necessary recovery period. This fence line really demonstrates where the cattle have been and where they haven't been, and you can really see the herd impact that has happened.
We have worked really hard to set up a pretty intensive rotational grazing system that is kind of like a Rubik's Cube to think about and put together correctly so that the cattle are moving through our prairie in a way that gives any one spot of grass rest, 95% of the time.
Our prairie out in eastern Colorado at headquarters, where we've been for 100+ years, that's all native prairie rangeland. What that means is that all of the moisture comes from rain. We don't have any irrigation to supplement rainfall. So we have implemented in that arid prairie grazing practices that really help revitalize our soil using the cow as that tool. In Westcliff, the Flying Diamond Ranch recently expanded here last year, and we have a lot of irrigation because we have mountain water. Here we move our herds daily, so we move them quite a bit.
Hey girls, let's go. New pasture.
Most ranchers, what they'll do is they'll take native range, plow it up, reseed it with a monoculture hay, harvest it, and then feed that to their cows during the winter. We're taking the approach of removing machinery from the land here and replacing that with nature's best harvester, the cow. in the next couple of years. There won't be, hopefully, a monoculture of just hay. More plant species will be here because the cattle will be turning up the soil, urine, manure, and then just natural seed pollen from native range around will turn that hay ground back into native range.
We can get a lot more grass production off of acres and run more cattle on the same amount of land, and that has a lot of benefits for the natural resource, the land itself. It lets us run more cattle with the same amount of overheads, labor, grass, pickups, and all that. Yeah, we're pretty happy with the results we've had thus far.
I think we are doing something really positive, really congruent with what is this land? What has it historically been? What is it historically supported? And I think grazing cattle is what is sustainable in our environment.
Animals existed and thrived before human interaction, and we have found that if you take care of your animals in a way that nature took care of them, you kind of remove yourself, let the cattle behave naturally, see how that benefits them, how that benefits the environment that they graze upon. Come on, ladies. And it all just kind of works together. It's pretty humbling to see that happen.
That story was brought to you by Beringer Ingelheim, who's proud to feature a ranch that embodies the company's Cattle First philosophy. You can see the entire documentary at cattlefirstmovie.com.